Hello, how are you doing? So, another solo episode today. For this week, I was going to talk about a little bit about the parade, what I think about that, some of the migrant crackdowns, what the news is reporting about that, and then the Iran-Israel war, which looks like the U.S. is going to get sucked into more than likely, and it's pretty ridiculous. But before that, Alp, baby, get you some Alp. Alp is the best nicotine pouches out there. I've tried several different nicotine pouches, and after 28 years of smoking, I like to still have my nicotine available to me. And Alp is the best one out there. I order wintergreen, which is my favorite, and but you can order a number of different flavors. They have like tropical fruit and mint and several different flavors. I don't even know all the flavors, but I like the wintergreen. It's my favorite flavor, and it gives me a nice, good burst of energy, a nice, good burst of mental inflection, and keeps me operating during the day. I love my Alp. Um, I love that nicotine, that little burst of energy that I feel whenever I pop one in. Helps with my thinking process, helps with um, my calculations, and when I'm driving a truck, helps me stay aware and awake and watching traffic and understanding what's going on around me. It just gives me that little boost. If I'm feeling hungry and I can't quite get to a place where I want to stop, I pop in and out and I'm good to roll for a little while. You know, it kind of suppresses that hunger, keeps me moving in the right direction without without torturing myself. And now that I'm talking about it, I got to put one in. You know how it goes. I need my help. If you want 10% off, check the link in the description. And if you order $70 or more, you get free shipping. And that's what I do. I order three logs, which lasts me 1 month, and I get it's $71 and I don't pay for shipping. So my nicotine comes directly to my door. I don't have to worry about stopping at gas stations or anything like that. My nicotine comes straight to me, and I just got to make sure I pick it up when it shows up. That's it. It's at the post office for me. It might be on your front porch. I don't know. But my situation is a little different. I got to go up to the post office, pick it up, and I'm good to roll for, a month. So, not a bad scenario. I love my Alp. Go try out. Go click in the link in the description below, get your 10% off, spend $70 or more and get free shipping. Can't beat that deal, man. Get you some Alp. All right. So there's been a few things in the news here recently. None bigger than Israel, Iran bombing the shit out of each other. But we'll get to that in just a minute. I kind of I kind of want to dig into that a little bit. I don't know. I don't know how deep I'm going to get into it. I'm kind of flying by the seat of my pants here. I kind of have an idea of the subjects I want to like kind of throw out there, but um, I don't necessarily need to get in full detail on all these things. So there seems to be we had the LA riots, and I did my podcast last week solo and talked about USAID and their support for the LA riots. And then this past weekend, we had the military parade. And I'm missing something. We had the military parade, and there was No Kings protest that was going on. And I'd found this article, and now I don't seem to have it pulled up, by John Solomon at, at Just the News, where he was talking about the funding of the protests. Let me see. Rider Storm Ice Facility in Portland with incendiary devices injuring officers. That wasn't it. FBI's Patel says Bureau investigating funding behind anti-ICE riots. Right. Okay. So as I was talking about last week, what you get a lot of times when you get these protests is there's money behind them, right? Because what they're doing is they're funding the community organizers to go out there and organize the protests, and then the community organizers find a bunch of useful idiots to protest for free. So some of these people are getting paid for it. It's like the difference between a whore and a slut is one of them gets paid. So that's kind of what you're looking at here in this situation is someone's getting paid and someone isn't. So someone's a useful idiot and someone is not. So John Solomon kind of digs into this a little bit in this article from Just the News. He says one group involved with the protest last week that eventually evolved into riots over the weekend is the Party for Socialism and Liberation, a Marxist group with reported ties to the Chinese Communist Party. I think it's actually CPC and not CCP, which would be the Chinese, wait, Communist Party of China, not the Chinese Communist Party. I think if you want to get in detail, I think that's the way it's supposed to be said, but you're like splitting hairs here. That group has also helped organize the anti-Israel protests recently ravaging college campuses. PSL, which is the Party for Socialism and Liberation, said that the demonstrators have taken a courageous stand against Trump's reign of terror targeting immigrant families, and that those taking to the streets are being falsely labeled as rioters. But the people are not deterred in Los Angeles and across the country. Protest is continuing with even more determination, the group wrote in a post to Instagram. This could be a turning point where the entire working class unites to push back Trump's efforts to shred our basic rights and dignity. The PSL is part of a larger network of protests and organizing groups which have connections to the Singham Network, a collective of nonprofits, NGOs, fiscal sponsors, and alternative news sources tied to pro CCP businessman Neville Roy Singham, Just the News previously reported. Singham lives in Shanghai and is identified as a conduit for CCP geopolitical influence, according to a report from the Network Contagion Research Institute, a research institute that monitors cyber social threats. The group found that PSL was involved in the Shut It Down for Palestine, SID 4P, protest movement started by the New York-based The People's Forum, a group funded by Singham. According to a profile of Singham by the Free Press, the financier's wealth came from his software consulting company, ThoughtWorks, which he sold in 2017 to Apex Partners for $785 million. The New York Post reported that Singham poured the fortune he made off the sale of his software company into at least a dozen nonprofits, NGOs, including the Communist People's Forum in Midtown Manhattan. Singham has a radical Marxist past that eventually grew into an admiration for China and its socialist system. Singham married Jody Evans, the co-founder of the radical left-wing group Code Pink, in 2017. The anti-war group has become increasingly pro-China in recent years. Singham now lives in Shanghai, China, where he backs or promotes several pro-China news outlets, such as the India-based website NewsClick, the Free Press found. But some funding may be coming from much closer to home. State financial documents show the progressive activist group at the center of the initial anti-ICE protests in California received a large portion of its budget revenue in recent years from taxpayers. through California and federal government grants, which would be turned out by USAID most likely. Just the News reported on Monday. The Coalition for Humane Immigrant Rights, CHIRLA, staged one of the first Los Angeles rallies last week protesting the ICE raids in the city, in part sparked by the arrest of the Service Employees International Union president, who accused of obstructing immigration warrants. Charla rallied alongside other member groups of the LA Rapid Response Network, according to a public post on its Instagram account. The organization was joined by the Service Employees International Union and the LA Teachers Union, among other immigrant groups. To our immigrant community, we see you. We see you. God, if we saw them, they'd be gone. We don't see them. That's the problem. They're living in the shadows and they're hard to find. But when they're found, they're shipped out. We hear you. We will not stop fighting for you. We say no to deportations, no to mass detentions. Families belong together. Yeah. Tell that to the guy who got a DUI last night, that his kids and his wife should be in jail with him. That's the way we're going to do it from now on. We belong here, Charla said in the social media post. The group previously told the New York Post that it was not involved in the violent riots that took place over the weekend. A spokesperson said the group organized a press event on Thursday to protest the initial ICE raids and has been sending legal observers to immigration courts and detention centers on Friday, Saturday, and today as part of the LA Rapid Response Network. We have not participated, coordinated, or been part of the protests being registered in Los Angeles other than the press conference and rally cited above, Churla told the New York Post in a statement. Churla did not respond to a request for comment from Just the News. State of California financial documents show that Churla received a significant portion of its recent operating budgets from both state and federal governments and state and federal government funding for immigration services. During the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2023, the organization received government contract revenue of nearly $34 million, dollars, including $32.5 million dollars or 96% of stated revenue from the state of California to provide immigration related services. The group's most recent filings show a similar percentage of revenue from the state of California was recorded in the prior year's statements. The Biden administration also awarded two citizenship and integration grants to the organization in 2023 for a total of $193,000. The federal grants were ongoing until earlier this year when the Trump administration terminated them. The group was slated to receive a total of $450,000 before the grant ended. And then it goes into the um, the financial statements um, after that in the article. So, as I said, a lot of the stuff is being funded by the U.S. government. There's a lot of U.S. government funding going into these NGOs in which they are providing support for these groups that are community organizing and holding these protests. And this goes for, I guarantee you do a deep dive into this whole No Kings protest, you're going to find the same groups. It's going to be the same names, Open Society, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, Churla. All these groups are going to be involved. And over what? A military parade? Okay. Like, I didn't watch the military parade, but from everything I've seen and I've read and I've witnessed as far as what they did on Saturday evening for the military parade, it was really just kind of like bland, like here's the history of our military. These are the old uniforms. This is what the military has been involved in over the years. This is what the army has done. And it's really like a celebration of the army in reality. This is 250-year anniversary of the army. This is what they've done over the years. This is why we should be thankful to them, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. As much as I don't celebrate like military force and all the things that go into military force, I don't really have that big of an issue with the military being honored for, protecting borders, keeping away invaders. A lot of my issue is with the politicians, with the political use of military in doing in conducting operations that aren't conducive with the security of the United States, which you should be worried about keeping your people safe. And we have a lot of evidence that has shown that throughout the years, the military has been involved in operations that have actually made it less safe for us, like 9/11 was a direct result of our intervention in the Middle East, right? So, so if you want to celebrate 250 years of the army, like have at it. I don't think this No King's protest is aimed at the right thing. I think most people think the majority of people would look at 250 years the army's been around and active, and they would say, yeah, man, we should honor them in some way. And okay, like whatever. Yeah, it costs money, but if we're supposed to listen to the left say that, well, USAID is only like such and such percent of the budget, and it's really not that big of a deal. Otherwise, other than it, creating all these new enemies and causing all these tensions and problems throughout the world, like you would think that, you know, what, $30 million, $45 million, which is like 1% of the budget, whatever. It's not really a big issue. If that's what they want to spend a little bit of the money on, I'm like, all right, whatever. Like, I'm not for the government spending money. I think there are better uses for that money, but at the same time, I can recognize like, okay, well, by holding a parade in Washington, D.C., in which you celebrate the 250th anniversary of the United States Army, you're not creating any more enemies. You're not, I mean, it's okay. If that's what you want to do, do it. Like, okay. There are much worse things they could be doing with that money. And as far as costs go, I mean, it, it's been recently the you hear the left. I saw today there was an economist on Fox News that was saying getting rid of migrant workers, illegal immigrants that are in the country working illegally under the table is bad for the finances of the American people. And my thought is, all right, but the migrants these people come over here, they work under the table, they drive down wages, and which artificially it like artificially drives down wages, and it keeps the wages of the American people down. And I'm looking at my kids out there trying to find jobs, and I'm like, yeah, but we have young men that want to get out there and work and do these jobs and get this experience and learn and understand how to do this, and they're being kicked out of the market because they want $12 an hour instead of $5 an hour or whatever. And I'm like, okay. maybe it'll drive the wages up, it'll drive prices up. But will the wages, we have to like ask ourselves at some point, will the wages of the American people outweigh the 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 price increases? So if my wages go up by 10% and the prices go up by 3%, then it's worth the problem, right? People, the American people have been abundantly clear what they want from Donald Trump's administration is to get rid of this whole system of propping up illegals and bringing slave labor to the wealthy, which is what it is. I mean, these people are talking about, oh, well, who's going to clean the toilets? Who's going to pick the fruit? Who's going to, and you're like, well, I know Americans that'll do that. They just not going to do it. They're not going to do it for pennies on the dollar, right? It's not that there aren't people that'll do it. It's just that you don't want to pay them what they're asking for as far as the money goes. So the problem isn't who's going to do it. The problem is you don't want to pay them what they're asking. Oh my God. Imagine a billionaire has to clean their own toilet for a change. Oh Lord, have mercy. Like the world's coming to an end. Like, I don't care. Like, your problems are not my problems. The way you're looking at this is not the way that the average working man looks at this. The average working man looks at it and goes, wait, in 1980, the average income of a truck driver was $110,000. And now, 45 years later, the average income of a truck driver is $43,000. So how did truck drivers lose 60% of their income? The it doesn't make sense. It's like we look at the price of housing, the price of gas, um, and we see that, oh well, they're saying, well, yeah, gas right now is $2.77, but that's really adjusted for inflation. If you go back to the year 2000, it's like, and you're like, okay, but how does it work the opposite way for truck drivers? If you want to adjust for inflation and be like, yeah, the price of gas is $2.77, and 30 years ago, it would have been, I don't know, a dollar 40, a dollar 35, and basically the equivalent of 277 today, because the dollar has lost 51% of its spending power. Then explain why a blue collar worker is making less today than he was 30 years ago, and it's just supposed to be okay. If anything, it should be 51% more. If it, like at the bare minimum, it should be 51% more. So if 30 years ago a welder was making $100,000 a year, now he should be making over $200,000 a year to keep the same standard of living that he had 30 years ago. That's the problem that people have. The problem that people have is rooted much deeper than the immigration problem. It's the fact that our wealth and our spending power, our ability to earn a living and to provide in such a way that is benefits our children and puts them on the front foot to have a better life than we have has been neutered. Like they've cut us out at the knees. That's the issue. The issue is not immigration. Immigration is just one of the many symptoms of the virus that has attacked the United States. And people see it just like they would see a cough or a fever or a runny nose. And they are like, I have to stop that. That has to stop. So you can't be mad at the people and be like, well, y'all are racist. No, they're not racist. I don't go to work. I've never gone to work and thought, wow, like how can me going to work assist the United States? That's not how most people operate. What they're looking at is they're saying, okay, I have to do this and I have to make so much money a year because I want to provide for my children. I remember telling a guy one time, he offered me a job that paid like, and he was like, yeah, dude, you're really good at this. I went out. So what happened is I went out on the job with him and I operated for a day, worked with his guys, et cetera, et cetera. And he was like, yeah, you're really good at this. I tell you what, I'm going to offer you a job. Um, I can pay you 9.50 an hour. And I was like, well, I have to make $15 an hour to pay my child support and be able to survive. Like what you're offering me doesn't cut it. Sorry. I don't mind the job. I would do the job, but you're gonna have to pay me more. And he's like, well, you just don't want to work. Okay. I didn't say that. I don't mind working. You watch me work all damn day. I don't care. I'll work. It doesn't matter to me. That's not the problem. The problem is I have to pay my child support and be able to survive. Like that's the way it works. Like you can't undercut me and expect me. You can't like pay me less than what it costs me to survive and expect me to survive. Like that's not the way things work. Because maybe I'll hang in there for a few months, but eventually it'll come to the point where I can't get to work because I can't afford gas. I can't afford maintenance on my vehicle. I can't get a new vehicle if I need a new vehicle. No, I need more money than that. I'm sorry. Like I would like to do the job. I like it's a cool job. I don't mind the job. It's hard work, but like no, you have to pay me more than that. If you're not going to pay me more than that, then I'll go elsewhere and I'll find a job that's going to pay me more. You know? And I did. He was like, "Well, apparently you just don't want to work." I was like, "No, that's not what I said. I said that this working here is going to cost me more than it's going to pay me. So I'm going to go find another job." And I did. I was like couple of weeks later, I had another job making more money and I was like, all right, whatever. That's what I got to do. That's what I got to do. Such is life, you know? And these people think that just because they can undercut illegal immigrants that you have to accept what they're offering you as far as money. But you don't. You can just no. I'm not going to do that. If you want to pay, if you don't want to pay me, you know what I require to do this job, then all right, whatever. Then you can go find somebody else because I don't have to do this. I can find something else to do. You know, and I can make more money doing something else. And that's what I did. I went and I found something else, and I made more money. And I was like, all right, whatever. No skin off my back. Didn't bother me one bit until I found out like 3, 4 months later, because he had at the time, he knew my father-in-law at the time. And he was telling my father-in-law, oh, that guy, he's a scumbag. He's a piece of shit. He don't want to work. Fuck, no, that's not what happened at all. I just didn't want to do, I just couldn't work for as little as you were willing to pay. Sorry. I'm sorry you're a cheap bastard and you can't afford to pay your employees. You know, shut down your fucking company. Who fucking cares? Because nobody with any common sense is going to do that job for less than 13, $14 an hour. That's just no. That's just not the way it works. You're not going to get somebody with the work experience that I had at the time to come in, drive a truck and freaking, haul dirt around and push wheelbarrows full of dirt for $9 an hour. Nope, it ain't gonna happen, dude. I'm not working 60 hours a week for you for $9 an hour. That's not gonna happen, you know? Dude didn't even pay overtime. It was all under the table. I wasn't gonna do that shit. No, you're not gonna pay me $9 an hour, 60 hours a week. No. No, you're used to paying illegals to do that. I'm not illegal. I'm perfectly legal. I'll work my ass off. I'll do whatever you need me to do, but you were going to pay me enough to survive, you know? And and so yeah, I went elsewhere. I found another job. Did I get the $15 an hour? Nope, but I got a lot closer. I ended up with like 13 an hour, you know? Got me a lot closer. And so you got to do what you got to do. You're like, I'm not required to take less money just because y'all like your illegal immigrants. I'm not, and I'm not going to. I'll move on. My life is not restricted to your rules and to what your parameters that you put on it. I have bills and finances that I have to cover. And if you want me to do a job that requires my entire body to be sore at the end of the day and I have to do that 6 days a week, then you're going to have to pay me to do that. I'm not going to do it for slave wages, which is what they expect to pay these guys. They expect to pay these guys little to no money to go out and do jobs that are backbreaking. And then well, Americans won't do the jobs. Bullshit. We'll do the jobs, but not for the amount you're offering. You're gonna have to pay us. You want me to level a house? I'll do the work. I'll get under there. I'll tunnel under that house. I'll fucking dig out the dirt. I'll do all that work. I do not mind it one bit. I don't mind working. I don't mind getting dirty. I don't mind it. I don't mind driving truck. I don't mind any of that shit. But fuck if I'm going to do it for $9 an hour. That's it. And that's how most working people are. It's not that we don't want to do the work. We want to be compensated for doing the work. We want to be compensated and paid for doing the work. And $9 an hour, $8 an hour, that's the wages you pay a child out of high school. You can't expect me to get straight out of the military, say, I'll pay you $9 an hour. You can go fuck yourself. I'll go get back right back in the military. Well, you ain't paying me $9 an hour. Fuck you. You know? And so those are the situations. And these liberals are out there. Well, we need these people because nobody will do the work. Bullshit. Nobody will do the work. Plenty of people will do the work. We just won't do the work for what you're willing to pay. We just won't do the work for your cheap ass. And we'll put you fucking out of business. We'll get rid of all your fucking labor, put you out of business. Somebody that will pay, that's willing to fucking pay their employees, will start a business and fucking put you out of work. Because fuck you. We don't need you. We'll figure it out on our own. We're out here working our ass off every fucking day. We do not need you. We are the ones with the skills. We know how to do the work. You're just a middleman. And don't forget it. Now that you're making 300 times more a year than your employees are making, no, fuck yourself. Fuck yourself. How about you cut it down to 200 times more a year and you give your fucking employees a raise? How about that? No, you don't want to do that? All right. Then we'll just put you out of fucking business. Because that's what we're going to do. We're going to put you out of fucking business. We've never been happy with the way y'all did things. We've never been happy with the way y'all conduct your business. And you undercut us. I can go get a job right now if I wanted to. I can go work under the table and work job to job and do construction jobs, renovating homes, roofing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and make a ton more money working under the table than working for a business. And everybody knows it. Everybody knows this. Every person that works with their hands knows there's a lot more money out there on the table if I just said fuck it all and just went and did it on my own. And a lot of people have. So, like, you see this a lot during like when hurricanes come through. Half these people you see roofing houses and renovating these houses and cleaning up these, they don't have licenses. They're not licensed with the state. They don't give a shit about what the state says. They go out there and they talk to a homeowner and they say, look, this contractor over here is going to charge you et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Because they have to line their own pockets. I tell you what, me and my two buddies will come out here. We'll charge you $20 an hour for each of us plus materials. That's it. And we'll save you thousands. And a lot of people do it. And there's a lot of people making a living doing those types of jobs. So don't be like acting like, oh, well, the Mexicans. I don't give a shit. I don't care about these fucking illegal immigrants. Who gives a fuck? You know how many times I've been on job sites delivering material to a job site and these fucking lazy sons of bitches are sitting under a tree drinking a case of beer in the middle of a fucking workday? And people wonder why it takes so long for a house to be built or for a fucking road to be finished because they're not fucking doing the work. They're milking the clock. They're sitting there getting paid by the hour and they're like, fuck it. I don't give a shit. And there are perfectly good, hardworking people that'll do the work and get it done in an amount of time that is acceptable. And they don't need a contractor. All they need to do is shake the hand of the fucking homeowner or home builder or whatever and fucking get at it. Two, three guys will get at it and they'll get the job done. But all we hear all the time was, well, who's going to do this? Who's going to do that? Anybody will do it. I know a lot of people that'll do it. It's just, you got to pay them. People don't do shit for free. Well, the prices of goods will go up. All right. Well, the prices of goods going up as fast as the fucking income of employees are going up, because that's what matters is whether or not the living circumstances of the blue collar workers are out there increasing at a faster rate than the prices of goods. That's what matters. The Federal Reserve is going to keep printing money. They're going to keep driving prices up one way or the other. My standard of living has to outpace the price of goods. And if my standard of living is not outpacing the price of goods, then we have a problem that then the problem is persistent. And that's what we're fighting. We're not fighting against illegal immigrants per se. We're fighting against the fact that our standard of living keeps going down while the prices of goods continue to go up. And it's been like this for 50 fucking years. That's the problem. That's the issue, that nobody is addressing that major problem. So if getting rid of these freaking farmers, these farm workers that are illegal immigrants and shipping them that back to their country and getting them out of here increases the standard of living for American citizens because the price the wages go up to such an extent that it outpaces inflation. That's what we give a fuck about. That's what we care about. Those are the metrics nobody's actually measuring out. These economists are, well, it's going to cause the price of goods to go up. Okay, but are wages going to outpace the price of goods? That's what we're looking at. That's all we give a shit about. Because we want our standard of living, not only for us, but for our children, to outpace the price of goods. That's it. That's all. That's all it is. That's the only metric that matters. End of sentence. I don't give a shit if avocados cost $1 instead of 69 cents. That doesn't fucking matter. Is the average wage in the United States going to go up from $33,000 a year to $80,000 a year or $70,000 a year? That way outpaces the price of avocados, you fucking retards. And that's where we get all pissed off. That's where we get all fucking antsy and fucking, want action taken. And we look at the way Congress acts, and this is why so many people are such big Trump fanatics, is because he's nimble, he moves quickly, he's doing things like a CEO. We watch Congress and we're like, dude, it took y'all 6 months to to pass a bill through one legislative house. Still, it has to get through freaking the Senate. One bill, 6 months. Will you fucking do something? You lazy sons of bitches, do something. And that's what the fucking problem is. That's why people are so fucking pissed off. And so you can be like, no kings, no kings, no kings all day long. And those of us that are out there doing the hard work, sweating our ass off, busting our ass, 45 years old, have trouble getting out of bed, our back hurts, our knees hurt, our ankles hurt, our everything fucking hurts. We're creaking and popping and for the first 2 hours of the fucking day. We don't give a shit about your no kings. We want shit to happen. We just want shit to happen. We want shit to point in the right direction and happen so that our kids don't have to deal with the same pains that we've had to deal with. That's it. That's all that fucking matters. If y'all figure out how to message to us, you've come a long way. Okay, Iran, Israel. So I feel like I've ranted on that enough. I don't have to like just keep pushing that point home. I think y'all get my general point there. It's irritating, but you get what I'm saying. When the Russia when Russia invaded Ukraine, a lot of people, I'm not going to say everybody, but a lot of people understood that what Russia was looking at was a continuation of the civil war that had been taking place mainly in the Donbass region since Maidan in 2014, 2015. In 2015, Russia went in and took Crimea. And a lot of people understood, like, okay, well, this is just a continuation of that civil war. And it just escalated, escalated, escalated. No matter how many times that Russia and Ukraine sat around and talked and was like, hey, man, you need to quit throwing bombs up into the Donbass, killing, you know, Russian speaking Ukrainians, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You can't make Russia, um, the Russian language, you can't outlaw the Russian language because the eastern part of Ukraine speaks Russian. You're oppressing these people. We're not going to put up with that. I tell you what, let's make this, a sovereign, independent, kind of commonwealth working out here on its own. And Ukraine kept bombing them, kept oppressing these people, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. On top of NATO expansion, this, that, and the other. A lot of people, I wouldn't say excused Russia's actions, but we're like, I kind of get what Russia's doing. I kind of get it. Historically, these are Russian people. Historically, Ukraine is part of Russia, and you know, Russia feels like it has some sort of valid, kind of claim to Ukraine. All right, well, I don't like it. I think there are better ways to deal with these things, but if that's the way it is, that's the way it is. And the U.S. insisted, the federal government insisted that we had to send billions of dollars to Ukraine to assist in defending themselves against Russia. So now we're on the other side of that situation, whereas Israel looks at what happened on October 7th as an Iranian plot that Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthis get money from Iran. They get weapons from Iran. They're funded by Iran. And the Iranians sent these guys in to pull off this exact type of plot. Okay. So now that the war in Gaza has started backfiring on Israel, and people aren't as sympathetic to Israel, and they've seen the deaths of the children and the women the hospitals being blown up, churches being hit, like, ancient churches being hit. People are getting a bit up in arms and saying, hey, man, what are y'all doing over there? Like, is this a genocide? Like, what are y'all doing? What's happening? And then you have members of the Israeli um, parliament coming out and talking in general terms that, hey, genocide is the goal. We want to run all the Palestinians out of Gaza. We want to get all of them out of there. We don't want a single Palestinian left in Gaza, not one. And all this started to backfire a few weeks ago. And Trump was in the middle of his negotiations with Iran. And I think Israel said, look, Trump set a deadline, 60 days. So let's take advantage of it. If, as we watch the United States operate and try to negotiate with Iran, if Iran doesn't come to the table within those 60 days, then we're going to hit them. And they did, like on day 61, they started bombing Iran. And they look at it as a part of the same war. They at least justify it as part of the same war. And I think a lot of the thought process is that if we can bomb Iran, get into a conflict with Iran, it then negates the talking points of what we were doing in Gaza. And it distracts, it gets the attention off of the Gazan people. And we can continue to do what we're doing in Gaza while we're hitting targets in Iran. So that's what they've been doing over the weekend. They've been hitting a lot of targets on Iran. Iran's been hitting back. The U.S. has been involved in helping to intercept these strikes on Israel from Iran. And the U.S. has now uh, sent out an aircraft carrier to that region to assist Israel in defense against Iran. And it could very well lead to a more hot conflict between the U.S. and Iran. But Iran's not our problem. Iran's not our problem. The fact that the U.S. is constantly involved in military actions all over the world, no matter who it is, we're involved in it. That's our problem. We keep dumping money, billions and trillions of dollars into these military actions all over the world, destabilizing the world, seeing these regimes pop up that are destructive and murderous that that then send terrorists to our shores to commit acts of terror. And that's what we should be looking for. Are are we in a situation to where there are Iranian cells that have made their way into America through the Biden administration's lack immigration policies and now are looking to strike on American soil? That's what we should be worried about. But people don't want to talk about that. They just want to, as John McCain said, bomb, 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 bomb Iran. That's all they want. That's all. It's like they have this fever dream that going into Iran and bombing them is going to be some easy thing. Going to war with Iran is not going to be an easy thing. It's a country like the size of Texas that's all mountainous, is from what Scott Horton, if I remember what Scott Horton said correctly. It's just mountains and like hard terrain. You're not going to have a land war in Iran. You're going to have to bait them out into another region. You cannot have a land war in Iran. It's just not going to happen. And this whole fever dream that we're just going to go in there, we're just going to bomb the fuck out of Iran alongside Israel, everything's going to be just fine. China's not going to act. Russia's not going to act. It's just going to be us versus Iran. That's it. Okay. But Pakistan is already threatening Israel with nuclear weapons if Israel uses a nuclear weapon against Iran. That whole region was starting to settle down until Israel started acting up and started acting a fool. And I know October 7th was a big deal. And if Israel wants to freaking go to war with Gaza, go to war with Gaza. Like, what the fuck ever. But dragging the U.S. into a bigger war is bad for the U.S. It's not good for our children. That's what we should be looking at. What is good for my kids? And it's not going to war with Iran. There's no part of being involved in Israel's war with Iran that is good for the kids. More of our kids are going to be sent over there and die. More more soldiers are going to commit suicide. It's all bad for us. We're getting involved in entangling alliances as George Washington warned us about. Jesus, how long ago was that? In the 1800s. We said, don't get involved in entangling alliances. You don't want to be involved in this shit. It's not good. It doesn't end well. And we haven't learned a single lesson from all the crap that we've been involved in overseas. We haven't learned a fucking lesson, not one fucking lesson from Iraq, Afghanistan, the terrorist attacks. Haven't gotten anything. All the refugees going to Britain, all the refugees going to France, all the refugees going to Sweden. We haven't learned a fucking lesson. Not one fucking lesson. Just keep doing the same shit over and over again, expecting a different result. That's the definition of insanity as far as Einstein was concerned. And I tend to agree with the guy. He was kind of smart. So that's what's happening right now with Iran and Israel and U.S. getting involved and the U.S. involvement. We'll probably be seeing U.S. Bases in the Middle East targeted, U.S. soldiers dying pretty soon. And I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing terrorist attacks here in the U.S., here in the United States. And these protests all over the place are perfect cover for terrorist cells to operate within. You know, so I don't know. I ain't got much else to say about it other than that. I just wanted to give y'all a show. Still, still real busy at work, busy doing a lot of stuff. I've been out running the roads and doing things all day today on my day off so that I can get back at it tomorrow. Here in the next couple of weeks, we'll be down to, I think we'll be going back down to 4 days a week, and I'll be able to kind of work with some people on, work with my boss about getting my days set as far as my days off set so that I can start making sure I get, more interviews out. Haven't been able to do an interview in a few weeks, but we'll get it taken care of. But I wanted to put out a show for y'all. I wanted to tell y'all, talk about a little bit of what was going on in the world. Hope y'all have a great week. I'm going to go ahead and release this and, you know, y'all enjoy your week. Don't get too stressed out about this nonsense. Ain't much you can do about it anyway. So I'm out.